Cheating is unfortunately an unavoidable aspect of competitive gaming. Whenever there's something to be won, there's bound to be a few people who attempt to illegitimately claim victory. In solo OS gameplay, this is no different, as high-profile cheaters have appeared, been caught, and vanished or reformed dozens of times in the past. Players cheating in OS tournaments is almost unheard of, but has happened and has been dealt with for some minor events. Just recently, however, there's been talk about players cheating in the biggest tournament of the year, the OS World Cup 2022. Here's a breakdown of everything that's happened. The OS World Cup is a standard format OS tournament that's been running for the past 11 years. Teams consist of 8 players who represent their country, with only 4 of them playing at a time. Each round has a different pool of beat maps which teams pick back and forth, increasing in both difficulty and number of maps needed to win. The bracket is double elimination, so a team has to lose twice to be fully knocked out. Now with that context, our story really revolves around one country in specific. Playing for China's team this year were David Hu2, I'm a Burger Fox, Milk Tea, Crystal, Joseph Joestar, My Angel Anzu, Sierzimaki, and most notably, a player called Fia. Fia is unique in many ways, notably with their playstyle and behavior. She mainly plays mouse only, opting to use both the mouse to aim and mouse buttons to click, utilizing only one arm, which is a rare playstyle but not unheard of. Looking into her profile, she's also a so-called offline player, preferring to not compete in leaderboards, but rather improve while playing offline. This makes her rank appear worse than it should be since she doesn't submit any plays, which may be suspicious to some, but again is not unheard of, especially in the tournament community. Her reason given for offline play was that connecting to the online servers gave additional lag on her already subpar computer setup. Apart from OS, Fia had almost no traces of social media and interacted minimally with the rest of the Chinese team, using their friend who they knew in person, Fushimi Rio, as a messenger. All of this is quite odd, but there have been many eccentric OSU players in the past, and Fia was an asset to the Chinese team. Finally, before anyone played, tournament staff screened every player to make sure that they're fit to play, and nothing barred Fia. During the early rounds of the OS World Cup 2022, China played pretty well, with Fia making up a significant portion of the team's score on each map. Despite being knocked down to the losers bracket, they successfully took out Italy and the United Kingdom from the tournament and continued that momentum. Fia started getting some attention due to her strange-looking plays during China's match against Romania, but many chalked this up to the unique playstyle. A clip taken from one of the hidden picks shows a strange moment where Fia seemingly forgets to start playing one of the maps and lags behind before getting her footing. After being asked by tournament staff, Fia provided the replay file of this moment for later analysis. China would go on to convincingly take down Romania 6-3, an upset from what many had expected against a team of their caliber. Next, they faced off against the team just as strong, Russia. Seeing what happened in the last match, members of the Russian team began to suspect Fia of cheating, and the captain, Chikone, would even make a public post to the Osu Report subreddit calling them suspicious. Some viewers saw this and went to mass report Fia's OS profile to try and have it taken down prior to the Russia vs China match, which ended up delaying it. Fast forward an hour. The score is 4-2 with Russia leading by 2 points, only 2 more needed to fully win. China has to start performing soon, otherwise they risk defeat. Crystal, a longtime player for the Chinese roster, steps up and absolutely crushes it, pushing the scoreline to 4-3, then 4-4, 4-5, and 4-6, coming back and winning the match. In the middle of this, Fia was asked by tournament staff to record themselves with a camera playing the next map to clear the suspicions, but on short notice, Fia couldn't get her roommate to start recording before the map started. She only ended up playing 3 maps in the match, so the opportunity never came again. Almost immediately, the captain of the Russian team tweets out remarks claiming with certainty that Fia was cheating. The only issue is that there was no solid evidence that she was cheating apart from a few odd clips. To outside observers, it seemed like the Russian and Romanian communities were being sore losers, especially since Crystal was carrying almost the whole match against Russia. Lengthy debates were had on Twitter and Reddit, going back and forth on the legitimacy of FIA with swaths of people on both sides of the fence. After some investigation into the matter, Dada submitted a report to our OSU report analyzing FIA's gameplay and actions. The main points showed some additional peculiarities which may have gone unnoticed if not for the added scrutiny. Number 1. FIA's cursor seems to always be on top of the first node of a map and frozen in place before they start playing. The cursor didn't seem to move until after their first mouse click, and to remember the position of the first node of every single map in the pool is quite unusual. You could argue that maybe this is due to their mouse-only playstyle, but the frequency and accuracy of these freezes is uncanny. Number 2. The replay of FIA forgetting to play does not line up with normal player expectations, and is even inconsistent with FIA's lag story. The post points out that this is impractical, since a normal player would just stop playing and then start once they're back in rhythm. An analysis of the input data revealed that lag could not be an explanation, as the frame time was consistent with normal gameplay. 3. All of the other weird things about FIA, being an offline player, only communicating through their friend like telephone, not being able to produce a recording of themselves playing or any other replay files from the matches? 1 or 2 coincidences could happen, but all of this is so unlikely that Dada saw only one possibility. The post concludes by theorizing that FIA was replay submitting, a type of cheat that will act out a given replay file. It was likely that FIA would play until they achieved a good score on the maps beforehand, or even manipulate those scores to look good, save their replays, and then when the time of the match came, the cheat would recreate the old gameplay as if it were happening live. There was still that one issue lingering. No matter how odd all of these things were, without undeniable evidence, this is all just circumstance. OS staff are very hesitant to ban players without absolute proof that foul play has happened, mainly due to players being falsely banned in the past from flimsy evidence. Nothing would happen unless there was rock-solid proof that FIA was cheating. 6 hours later, FIA was confirmed to be cheating and was promptly banned from OS. After combing through all of FIA's submitted plays online, someone found 2 plays that had the exact same cursor movement and tapping down to the frame. This pretty much retroactively confirmed the World Cup cheating theory and vindicated the Russian and Romanian teams. For the first time ever, a player was found to be cheating in the biggest tournament series in all of OS, and this would have some big consequences. Pandora's box was now open, because if a cheater could make it through the player screening, then going forward, countries are going to have to be extra careful who makes the roster. Almost immediately, tournament staff announced that China was disqualified. Due to the actions of one person, the other 7 hardworking, world-class OS players were removed from the tournament. The team who had fared well on their own even without FIA, who thought they had secured a top 6 position, were now completely stripped of their accomplishment. To make up for the interference, it was determined that the Romania vs China match would count as a Romanian win, and then Romania would face off against Russia in a makeup match to see who would advance in the bracket. This went on to be an incredible match, which I won't spoil in case you'd like to watch. FIA's best friend Fushimi Rio tried to defend her until the overwhelming evidence came out, to which they replied that they were sad to find out FIA was cheating. Fushimi Rio also revealed that they had pressured her to play in tournaments in the first place, and that pushing their best friend too hard to achieve may have been the cause of this. The general public had a field day making jokes about FIA as a cheater, and FIA effectively became an OS meme. Finally, the mess was behind us. Or was it? 1 week later, a 44-page document written by a member of the Chinese community and translated into English is released, dropping the biggest twist to this already complex story. Fushimi Rio was FIA. Fushimi Rio came up with the FIA persona and pretended that they were a separate person, when in reality it was them all along. The FIA account is likely to have belonged to a real person known as Pinkheart that had quit the game and given their account away. Once Fushimi Rio gained access, they changed the username and started pretending that Fia was a separate person. It started to make a lot more sense why Fia would only communicate through Fushimi Rio, and why they had a shared social media presence. Both players recently created similar beat maps, had similar playstyles, and even the same plays via cheats too. It was of course revealed that Fushimi Rio was guilty of replay submitting in past tournaments where they played alongside the so-called Fia. They were promptly banned as well upon this revelation, finally marking a true end to this whole fiasco. To say that this whole situation has been a mess is an understatement. I glossed over and simplified many of the details for time and your own sanity. From an odd player performing well, to unfounded allegations of cheating, then evidence coming out, and to top it all off, the player was the work of someone's imagination. This has been a wild ride. The World Cup continued as normal and was just as incredible this year, but this incident left a sour taste in everyone's mouths. The central pillar of tournament play, the biggest event of the year, the OS World Cup, has, in a sense, been compromised. One bad apple pretending to be a top player disqualified China's entire team and unfairly knocked out Italy and the UK before nearly doing the same to Romania and Russia. Nothing good came out of this strange situation. Our only hope is that we better detect these cheaters early on so we don't have to go through this again.
China, but how good is China?
I don't get it, man. They are just playing out of their minds. They played crazy last week and then they show up and do the same thing.